her to extend that.
And with Bree Copeland going the distance, having thrown 12 innings over the last.
She also has off-speed pitches, but key.
In the time that Indiana took on St. Louis, and after Oklahoma State fell against Arkansas earlier today in the matchup of teams that were both 1-0, Oklahoma State didn't go very far. They just hung out in the basketball practice facility beyond the left field wall, got some food, got some rest, some camaraderie, and now back to action with Delgadillo leading things off. So with Copeland working so voluminously as the starter over these last 2 days in the circle, there's something to be said for the way that Shonda Stanton had her work in that last game, because she told us when we spoke in the 4th inning with our interview, Strader retires Delgadillo, that yeah, Copeland looked a little bit tired, and you can understand that with the workload she's had, over 200 pitches over 2 days. So I think the way this game is set up will be a staff game for Indiana.
Well, and in order to extend your season and in order to advance to tomorrow, you've got to have your staff working. We've talked a lot about Copeland, but it really has been Hess and Reyes and Barry that have also thrown throughout the season. Yes, Copeland's been the main arm for them, but they need that production as well from the others in the circle if they want to keep going.
And there are not many tweaks to a lineup at this point in the season when you get this deep in. You're looking at 60 games in. The real changes you're going to get, well, Amanda Hassler was the catcher for 2 games. Now she gets a break behind the plate, going as the DP, with Audrey Schneidmiller starting as the catcher, hitting 8th. Three and one from Reyes. So Hassler over to first base. Well, from the first pitch of the last game, we saw the catchers, pitchers, hitters all trying to figure out the strike zone. Hassler won't have to do it behind the plate today. Bobby DeMeo calling the balls and strikes as Rosie Davis steps in.
And I think it's smart if you're Oklahoma State hitters right now to be patient and to make sure, see what you're given and what you're not given, and then make adjustments as needed, but really forcing them to come in and throw your pitch that you want. Just the emotions of dropping that game against Arkansas when they had that lead and felt like they were in the driver's seat. They don't take it for granted. They know what happened for them yesterday, but still, this just takes a little bit out of you when that happens.
What is it like to try and rebound from that, of the highs and the lows all happening in such a short period of time, and then it's not like you have time to process it, you just got to go right back to work?
Well, I don't think you take too much time to process it. I think you get back to what is the solution, what are we trying to do, not what just happened. Obviously you want quick adjustments, but ultimately it's just what do we have to do to win right now.
That's shallow in the alleyway, right center field. Wilkeson the catch and a double play. Season on the line, and she brings it in center field.
That ball looked like it was dropping. Wilkeson came out of nowhere. What a great.
At any level, even if it's youth sports, you have parents who question you. College level, pro level, you have fans who question you. And Ruby Malin was not at her best when she came on in relief after starting last game, but it was a multitude of things that led to the outcome rather than just the actions of one player.
Yeah, I agree. And in this situation, you think of Crandall getting the start, but knowing that you have Malin on the bench as well as Coots, right? And you have that option if you need to. If she starts getting into any trouble, I think it's just flipping it this time with what we've been seeing when Ruby was getting the start.
1-2 to Copeland in the leadoff spot. Crandall upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. That is a ball, 3-2.
We've seen some of these pitches that look like they're at the knee and catching the corner. That one a little more over the plate, so I'm assuming maybe it was low. But some of these umpires are not liking that low pitch as much.
And even though we haven't seen it in a couple of games in the postseason for Copeland, she came in tied with Taylor Minnick, who's on deck for the most home runs in Hoosier history with 43. Minnick now up to 45. And the 8th pitch coming up, Crandall to Copeland. Hard liner, Delgadillo can't get to it. And if she can't, nobody can. Copeland for 2. She is in, safe at second base. The Hoosiers are aggressive base runners, and that's either in the first inning all the way to the 7th.
Well, Bree Copeland in that leadoff spot is very consistent, and she gets all of this ball, takes it to the center field fence, but Delgadillo, we see her response. When that ball is off the wall, she is able to turn and throw on a dime. What a bang-bang play. I think it's just Copeland's hand that gets in there. Davis very shocked and surprised at the call.
Certainly thought that they had to put out at second base. They wanted it to just be a single and a put out. Instead, it's a double. So an 8-pitch at bat for Bree Copeland to give an RBI opportunity to Taylor Minnick.
And I think it's important for Indiana to get a quick start off of Crandall, because they were able, when she first came into the game yesterday in the 4th inning, they were able to get a 3-run home run off of her, and after that, she had 3 shutdown innings. And so to me, it's how are you going to start hot against her?
Well, it was a nice looking swing from Minnick. It's off of Warsup's glove in right field. Copeland comes around third. The throw beats her to the plate. She dives. The ball is loose. She is safe at the plate. Minnick drives in Copeland with a chaotic finish at home. 1-0 Indiana. And what a swing of emotions that was. The ball beat her by a ton to the plate, but Schneidmiller couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, I agree, and it's usually not a pitcher that you're going to see going in this diving head first. She holds up at first because she thinks it might be caught. Looks like it almost is, but as soon as it ricochets off of the glove, Delgadillo comes, and that ball had plenty of time to make the play, but you're right, it's on the contact. The ball pops out.
And now Avery Parker swings, drives it deep to the right center field gap. Warsup makes the catch. Sack. But it's also about morale, right? At this point, you win or you go home.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think just this energy, and Coach Stanton talked about yesterday how she talks to them about starting quick, playing hard in the middle, and finishing strong. And she said, I felt like we did start quick. I felt like we played hard in the middle, but we did not finish strong. They made those defensive mistakes. And now, I mean, it's about, hey, guys, this is what we did yesterday. Let's come back even harder today. And, you know, sometimes people will talk about the fact that in the loser's bracket, right, the loser has to play second, but then they get to play almost this doubleheader, and almost how sometimes when you're sitting, you do wonder, do you come back as strong after kind of having that break?
Oh, sure. That is base hit number 3 of the first 4 batters to start the game.
saw the comeback yesterday from Oklahoma State. I think the biggest thing is to figure out how long will their leash be for Crandall.
Kyra Aycock warming up in the Oklahoma State bullpen. So the senior contingent has delivered in the early going. Mitchell, Minnick, Copeland, all in their last go-around, proving themselves the gold standard of Indiana softball. Title handed down from their head coach, Shonda Stanton. The Hoosiers in the postseason for a third straight year. They get two unconventionally on the right side of the infield. The inning is over, but the damage is also done early. Copeland and Minnick get a couple of long balls, going blow for blow. Top inning of the bottom of the inning with Taylor Minnick home run wise. And Godwin finds a hole on the left side of the infield. So after she became the fourth Cowgirl to hit multiple home runs in an NCAA tournament game, here she comes through with their first base hit.
Well, she's really been strong here in this regional, looking to try to keep her team alive. Only a sophomore, but a leader with this team that has had some frustrating moments this year, not really reaching her full expectations.
Talon Edwards takes a strike. But joining a good group too for Godwin as far as multiple homers in an NCAA tournament game. Jillian Pouliard did that last year. Allison Febri 4 years back. And probably a few bats thrown in the air by Samantha Shao back in 2019.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one has kept that going. Everybody was watching at that point when
it's fun, right?
Ever Samantha Shao was up, you know, really. She was very fun to watch.
Ball and strike to Edwards. On the ground, Van Brandt goes to second, and the fielder's choice takes Godwin off the bases, one away.
And that's really a young infield for the Hoosiers. You got third baseman Burko, who normally is not there. Normally it's Strader, who's at shortstop. She's normally their third baseman, but Cooper is hurt, out with an injury day-to-day right now. And then you got a sophomore in Van Brandt at second, and Josie Bird, a freshman at first. So, and then a freshman in the circle. I mean, really, like, in some ways that's crazy, but in other ways it's very exciting to think the future here for the Hoosiers.
So everybody on the infield, you're saying, has not yet had to officially declare a major at IU.
Yes, that's one way to look at it.
Warsup's one hit here in the postseason, a big one, a two-run triple. And that's beautifully fielded by Van Brandt. The sliding play. Two balls hit her way and handles both of them very well.
Yeah, and just timing-wise, that is the play that she had to make, and really love how she tosses the ball up, backhands her glove just in time to get the out.
Well, she doesn't go glove. There is no out.
That's what I think. If she tries to use her hand on that, she doesn't have time to get the ball out.
7th spot, Rachel Hadhoot. And Warsup takes off, and the throw backed up nicely there by Van Brandt. So Warsup is in scoring position with the Cowgirls looking for their first run, and that's her 20th stolen base of the year.
Yeah, she has so much speed. We saw her triple earlier in the game against the Razorbacks. 20th stolen base.
And in the game yesterday against Indiana, she scored on a wild pitch from second base.
Yeah, once she starts moving, she's going to take anything. She really reads it well in the situation.
Hathoot, like Megan Delgadillo, transferring up a level this year, coming to Stillwater. In the air right field, Mitchell doesn't get there in time. That is down. Worsup scores, and the lead is cut in half. It's 2-1 with Rachel Hathoot's RBI double.
Well, after yesterday's game, you know, if you're Oklahoma State, this game is just starting. A nice piece of hitting by Hathoot, outside pitch, but really elevates it, stays through the ball so well, plenty of time to score, and then for her to now be in scoring position as well. That's it. You pump up your team.
Audrey Schneidmiller, the catcher, has come off the bench in the first 2 games and gets the start behind the dish here in the 3rd game in 2 days.
Well, I don't think either team is going to take for granted until the last out is made. I think both have felt both sides of what can happen and does happen in this game.
One the redshirt junior, injured and didn't play in 2022, and then 2 years ago, said she learned a lot from Taylor Tuck, primary starter that year. Schneidmiller got the call in 18 games as the starting catcher. Last year started 14, so player who has waited for her role to become more prominent. And this year it's the Cowgirls looking to get to Oklahoma City for a 6th straight year. Not taking the easy path to get there.
Yeah, I agree. If they get to Oklahoma City, it will be the hard path. It'll be overcoming a lot, especially going down in this regional and having to win 1 today and 2 tomorrow.
Hathoot's on at second, 2 down. And a 3-2 from Reyes. Missed it low, ball 4. That's her second walk.
You in any way, shape, or form, you will show up.
Sinking line drive into Strader's glove, and the inning is over. Oklahoma State came in down 2. Rachel Hathoot with an RBI at the bottom of the 2nd inning. And Taryn Curran does have a connection to this year's team because in 2023 they got sent to the Knoxville Regional, went 1-2 there. But it was their first time in the postseason since 2011. So it was for Shonda Stanton the opportunity to show, hey, the work we are doing here is now paying off. They went to the postseason last year, did not win a game in the regional, so the victory that they had over St. Louis earlier today was their first in 2 postseasons. But as we talked about last inning, on the infield and in the circle, nobody is an upperclassman. Josie Bird holding down first base. So again, college sports, a year-to-year proposition. Your roster's probably not going to look the same year over year, but assuming roster continuity in Bloomington, they are in great shape in a very competitive Big Ten.
I agree with you. And when she said, Coach Stanton said, even when we lost Kern and saw that we could still win, you know, you lose a player that gets a lot of that attention, but then realize, okay, we can still do it without her, like in reminding the team that it takes team effort. And so it hurts a little bit, obviously, the production that Kern brought, but the team has really stepped up, like you said, and they have that new standard of expectation of being postseason.
And all things being equal, I think any coach would tell you, I'd rather have a more solid roster 1 through 9 than one that the opposing teams are worried about hitter A, but not all of the other hitters in the lineup.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of belief throughout the lineup. And, you know, obviously everybody's working hard and putting in that extra, but when it comes down to it, it still comes down to producing, right? And so the players that get a lot of the attention are the ones that do come up big and have the big numbers.
Bird goes reach and keeps it going.
And nothing really can replace experience, right? You can have so much success throughout the entire season, but until you've done it, like it's hard to know what that feels like, right? So at this point, they've been getting postseason, but Indiana's still trying to make that next step.
Strike 3 on Josie Bird, who thought she had ball 4. Randall's first strikeout.
And she comes on that inside corner and is able to get that low rise ball. And I think Bird thought that might have been a little bit high. Schneidmiller behind the plate holding on to that pitch, saying, hey, I think it's underneath, still hitting in that strike zone.
And in the 2023 season, too, where Kern won Big Ten Player of the Year, she was only the second Hoosier ever to win it. The first was Michelle Venturella in 1994. And the only other player to win Freshman of the Year in Bloomington was Tammy Connor all the way back in 1985. So the start that year of something special for Indiana. They're hoping to carry it one more day here in Fayetteville. Their lead is 1 as we head to this is the start of her 13th inning of the weekend.
Yeah, and Coach Shonda Stanton very clear with us about the importance to her to be able to work with who got you here. And so I just have no doubt that Bree Copeland's involved in that conversation when they're making that move of, like, they're probably asking her, how do you feel? Do you feel like you have what it takes? And we heard from Taylor Minnick, the other senior, saying, you know, I'll do anything for her. She's the best, and just what she means to this entire team.
Minnick, first team All Big Ten, out in left field, comprising part of the senior core of this team. And this is a 3-0 start to this plate appearance here for Delgadillo. So an unexpectedly early visit out there for Shonda Stanton as she gets set.
Yeah, Delgadillo has been struggling. And so I think this idea of go at her, make her hit it. She has tons of speed, but she has not been able to pull out a hit yet. And so the last thing you want to do is come in, you make this change, and then to put the fastest player on the field, one of the best in the entire country at stealing bases, and right now the tying run, and to give her the free pass.
3-1 for Delgadillo, the grad transfer from Cal State Fullerton, her last year of college softball. Not to fast forward on her career, because I'm sure there's a lot of softball left for Delgadillo. But doesn't she strike you as somebody who could get into coaching when her career is done?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, because just hearing both when she was at Cal State Fullerton as well as hear from Coach Kenny Gajewski that she is someone who is a coach player. Look at those at-bats, the games she's played, but stolen bases, I mean, that stands out to you, but again, it doesn't tell the whole story. It's the leadership, it's knowing the game, her softball IQ. This team looks to her. I mean, really, she's an outfielder, but she guides the team.
And always in good spirits. The smile on her face over at first base, fitting with her nickname being Cheese. As we spent time talking to these teams the other day, and I don't know that anybody made a comment where she didn't have a good jab at them or a wisecrack, where she got everybody smiling at the end. And Copeland comes too far inside. Hassler to first base. Delgadillo at second. And with Oklahoma State only down 1, a base hit could be an equalizer very quickly.
Well, and this is where you start to wonder, did they make that change too soon? I mean, we talked last game about Copeland looking tired. I think they're giving Avery Parker a little bit of time. That ball ricocheted off of her. And Janae Berry, you see in the bullpen. I think it's, honestly, for them to pull out a win and stay in this game, it might take the entire staff. Obviously, more hitting when you come up to the plate, but defensively and pitching. And this pitch way inside. It hits.
Like off the wrist.
Hassler's front hip, but then it gets that wrist that's wide open, so it's unprotected. Yeah, she's in a lot of pain. And there's really not much you can do in that situation because that ball is so quickly redirected once it contacts Hassler's hip, which that had to hurt as well.
But it's her throwing hand,
yeah.
so she's going to make sure that that's okay.
Yep.
Not going to be at 100%, but nobody is this time of year. And she's working through the pain.
I think nobody gets beat up like catchers beat up in this sport. Honestly, they really have the job that so many times does not get noticed enough. I mean, they're so tough back there, blocking balls, getting all the bruises. But so, so important.
Well, the Parker family is a tough family. Her brother Aiden played offensive line at Youngstown State. An offensive lineman and a catcher. I don't know, there are two tougher positions in any sport that's not hockey. I don't care how much you pay me, I'm not getting in goal in a hockey game, even if it's Pee-wee level. And Davis trying to move the runners over, but can't lay it down in fair territory. Did you ever catch it all?
No, I was a pitcher, actually. Got recruited to college as a pitcher, won nationals growing up. Sophomore year, coach said, all right, you're out of pitching. You're in the outfield now. I was a pitcher, first baseman. But I did finish my career. I played 2 in center field at Arizona, 2 Olympics in right field, and then I finished at first base. So whatever the team needed, I was
You almost
that team
completed
player.
the tour de all positions.
That's true.
Right?
I'm a lefty. There's not a lot of places you could have put me, but
well, first base was the right spot.
I think it protected me mostly from catching.
Line drive into the left field corner. Delgadillo comes around to score, and we're tied at 2. Best laid plans go to waste. She wanted to get the sacrifice bunt down, and instead turns it into an RBI.
Yeah, that's a good piece of hitting when you don't execute.
Taking Godwin under her wing to say, hey, keep it up what you're doing, because you're doing great, and we're all here to support you.
Well, and I think also just how hard we are on ourselves. You know, a lot of athletes, it's really hard not to do as well when you do have a great start to your college career. And, you know, she's shown up big. It's really a matter of sticking with it.
Center field, and it's past Wilkeson. Cowgirls take the lead. RBI double for Carly Godwin. 4 batters have come to the plate here in the third, and all 4 have reached. 2 now have scored.
When you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And right now, Carly Godwin, she is seeing the ball so well. Something we've seen here over and over is that pitch that's up. They're keeping their hands through it. That ball off the center field fence. Some excitement. The Godwin family very excited to see her coming through. I think they've been celebrating a lot here at Bogle Park. She's really having a great couple days and games and postseason.
One down, Edwards runs, scores, throw to first, and they got her at first base. A bang play over there at the bag, but the bunt is successful, and that's the second time in 3 games where Oklahoma State has laid down a bunt that leads to a run.
Yeah,
so Edwards is not going anywhere at first base, and they may challenge this.
Yeah,
Ruling on
perfectly.
the field is out at first base, and that is being challenged by Oklahoma State. Players under review.
I think they got a pretty good case.
Yeah, bang play like that. I think it's important this type of an inning to have a rally going. You absolutely want to make sure.
She's also fortunate that that was a throw that didn't end up hitting her because she was not in the runner's lane as she went up the first base line.
But you mentioned them laying that bunt down in a situation with the runners on. And I think you look at this Oklahoma State team and they'll find different ways. They don't have as many long balls as they've had in the past, so they have to find ways to manufacture, try to keep defense, get defenses that are maybe not going to come up and make that play at home. And so whether she's safe or out, it's still a run that comes across either way.
Out. And there goes Edwards to second base. They said to Indiana, you're going to have to make a choice. You either throw down to second or we take it. And so Edwards moves into scoring position. At the plate, sometimes you have to wait for a pitcher to make a mistake and really take advantage. Here I feel like the Cowgirls have reversed that script and put the pressure on Indiana. Saying, we're going to put the ball in play, make you go to work.
Well, and the fact that this is the third inning and it's the third pitcher that we've seen in the game, that says a lot. I know as teams, like, you're trying to chase the pitchers and make those changes, because I think it just benefits you as a team offensively to have that confidence and to know that they don't have many more options. Obviously, we haven't seen Janae Berry yet. I know she was warming up earlier.
Worsup on a line, right field base hit. Godwin comes in, and Worsup with the throw to the plate. A wise base runner takes 2 bases. So Worsup has scored a run, driven in a run. Oklahoma State feeling comfortable, up 5-2.
Yeah, this game right now, all the energy, momentum, what an inning they are having. And Worsup, a true triple threat from that left side. She stays through this, stands in. We see her run through the box often, but here she stays in and drives it to right field. And Mitchell coming up with that throw home. And in that situation, you know, we don't see Oklahoma State. They're not going to be aggressive. They don't need to try to get that extra run. They just try to let the hitters pass the bat and keep doing that one at a time until maybe you can get a big hit.
Hadhoot squares up. And the story for Oklahoma State, if they go on to win this game, has been big innings in the postseason. They were trailing yesterday against Indiana, scored 7 runs in the 6th inning. Grounder to the circle. Hess can't control it. Nobody's out, and it's another run on the board. Edwards scored.
Lead lost to the Razorbacks. I think it would say a lot to come back and respond after being knocked down, having the wind knocked out of you a little bit, to come back and be able to have a short one tonight, and then, like you said, come back strong tomorrow.
First and third, nobody out for the number 8 hitter of the inning, Audrey Schneidmiller. And the Cowgirls just keep on running. First pitch, and Hadhoot scrambles safely to second. They will not be contained here in the top of the third. Already 5 runs in. Corners in, trying to deny another run. 2-0, center field. And that drops, it gets by Wilkeson. Nothing is going Indiana's way here in the third. Cowgirls by 5.
Well, and they're just seeing it well, and they're doing what they need to as hitters. That would have been a phenomenal catch by Wilkeson in center field. She was not able to come up with it. It was her speed. She was not too deep, but this ball is just dumped in, almost gets underneath it. You know, you almost wonder in that situation, she came down with her knees first, but possibly had she gone head first, she might have had a chance. That's tough to say too. At that point, they probably tag up and score.
Megan Bloodworth has had to be the most patient of all in the first base dugout. Every one of her other teammates in the lineup has come to the plate here in this inning. She is the 9th. Hadhoot, the runner at third. Schneidmiller at second. Oklahoma State was down 2-1 when this inning began. They have scored 6. Nobody out. And the metaphor for them this year at the beginning of the season was about lighting the fire, keeping it lit. And they just are full of accelerant here in this inning. No strangers to having to win and come from behind fashion.
Well, and I like that stat because I think the ability to be able to fight back and never die and say it doesn't matter if we're down, we have a way. Like, I think that says a lot. It's a lot of character. It's a lot of battle in you.
A liner just gets over Van Brandt's glove. Hadhoud scores. Schneidmiller goes to third. And it was a big turn around first base for Bloodworth because nobody was holding her at first.
Yeah, they just cannot stop the bleeding right now. You've got to find a way ultimately to maybe try to induce some ground balls. Oklahoma State doing a nice job of staying through the ball and doing just enough. Like you mentioned, every single hitter, no outs.
9 batters to the plate. 7 have scored. The other 2 are on the corners. And it's back to the top for Delgadillo, who started the inning with a walk against Bree Copeland. And this is now the second time, well, in this inning, they're going to put the safety squeeze on perhaps. And Delgadillo has already done it successfully here in this weekend. She gets it down. There is no play at the plate. The throw to first is late, and the bases are loaded. That's the danger of Delgadillo running the base paths. Safety squeeze. Ball was too close to home, so Schneidmiller knows I can just stay at third base, and Delgadillo blazes up the line.
Well, and that's how fast she is, right? You take a chance of them maybe throwing a ball away as well, and when you choose to hold the runner at third, it just becomes a foot race, and she's able to use her speed, her first hit being a bunt. We've seen her make other things happen, but honestly, it's what makes her so deadly in that leadoff spot.
Cheese has wheels. Bases full for Amanda Hassler, who was 3 for 4 last game. And she gives it a ride, deep center. It's a grand slam! An 11-run third inning, and there are still 0.
This response after losing that late game to the Razorbacks, and really it was a nail biter. They had the lead. It looked like potentially they were going to take out the win. They were 3 outs away with a 3-run lead, and then in the 7th inning, Razorbacks were able to tie it up, and they lost in the 8th inning. And so it's all about how you respond. And right now, I think Coach Gajewski is very happy about his Cowgirls.
High, left field, Minnick back to back. After the first grand slam of the year for Oklahoma State, consecutive dingers from Hassler and Davis.
And I tell you what, they say hitting is contagious. Well, right now they all have it. This Oklahoma State lineup right now is feeling good, and when you're confident, I mean, it's just fun to keep passing the bat. You want your chance, and it is once again, it's the high pitch. That is the ball that we see. If it does not have movement on it, it is going to get hit and get hit hard.
Well, you got to be confident to wear orange overalls out of the house, but you feel really good when your team's up 13-2 in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, and that, what we see over and over, we're not seeing much at the knee. And I'll tell you, that's where when you have a really good drop ball, you're able to throw maybe the curve ball at each corner, but knee height makes it a little bit harder. But anything waist high and above that hitters can get their arms to, it's going to be tough.
Godwin gets it good, but not good enough. And I don't know that I have ever seen an inning like this.
No, I personally have not.
That was the first out of the inning.
Yeah, the fact that no outs have been made, that there were 4 pitching changes within 1 inning, and that the first out was made with the 13th hitter.
And it's Talon Edwards. And normally this is not the way that we think about diamond sports in terms of looking at the clock. This inning is almost 30 minutes long, and there is 1 out. That ball smoked foul. Because who cares? We'll stay all night if we have to. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, barring a major comeback from Indiana. Rolling a strike to Edwards in her second at bat of the inning. Well, you were part of some amazing teams at Arizona. Are there any innings like this that you can remember?
No, I don't think we had. We had games that were like this, of course, like a lot of teams do, right? A game where we'd put a pitcher in to hit because nobody was getting out, and then the pitcher who never hits would get a hit, but nothing like
12 runs before an out, and now consecutive outs recorded on flyouts to right and left. Tia Warsup for the 2nd time in the inning, 3rd time in the game. She scored 2 of their 13 runs. And there's a certain point where, remember, IU came into this inning leading 2-1. The mindset on the Hoosier side has to go from, all right, you know what? We'll work our way back out of this, to uh-oh, to human nature will just tell you it'll feel almost insurmountable.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really hard in this situation because it's been all hits. You know, yesterday was a different story, right? When they made mistakes, and obviously you can clean that up. But with what we're seeing here, I mean, really, it's been speed, it's been line drives, it's been obviously the big grand slam by Hassler and the home run by Rosie Davis.
So 12 runs, 10 hits, couple of doubles, and a couple of home runs, and then 3 straight flyouts. And the top of the 3rd comes to an end.
Go after practice, before practice, found people and begged people to help a little bit. I'd go home to California sometime and train with a couple teammates as well.
Were you still enrolled?
I was, yes. I did take a semester, actually the spring semester off, so fall ball I did not get to train with them. We would have training camps where we get together for about a week at a time and train together with the Olympic team, but then it was a lot of individual.
Your gap semester?
Yeah.
You were the pioneer of that.
That's
now we
right.
have gap years. You had the gap semester. I would advocate that, though. I think that's a good idea for anybody before they get into the real world. We just saw St. Louis here earlier today. They bowed out as the first team here in the Fayetteville Regional. They said, you know, you got a couple of juniors graduating early. I said, don't do it.
You did. We're wiser. We're older. Just take as long as you need.
Don't rush into it. Don't learn what FICA is before you have to. The longer you can delay knowing what a 401k, how that works.
Yes,
do
I
it.
agree.
Probably nobody feels better right now than Riley Crandall. She didn't have to swing the bat. She comes out with an 11-run lead, which is not often you ever get to have that happen. Certainly not for the Cowgirls because they didn't play any cupcakes on their schedule this year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think right now what we're seeing is so important. You have that big inning, and then you go right at these hitters. And now against Taylor Minnick, we see the opposite of what we're used to seeing. With these other lefty hitters, you'll see Oklahoma State shift with their defense all to the left side. But now with Minnick, she's such a pull hitter, they're all shifting to the right side of the field with 3 infielders on the right of second base. And they brought third baseman Talon Edwards. She's basically playing up the middle.
Oklahoma State keeping official scorers on their toes everywhere.
We know they're looking at the spray charts and they're seeing, and we've really seen Minnick own that right side. We saw her yesterday put a home run out to right field on an outside pitch. So she really has the ability to go around that ball and take it to the right side.
2-2 to Minnick. 3-2. Payout pitch to the Bloomington native. And she hits it into the shift, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 in the third. Kenny Gajewski joins us next with his team up 13-2.
You're going to do that. And I think it gives them that freedom to say, I don't have to wear the world on my shoulders. We're not just trying to make you proud of us. He's saying, I am proud of you. Find a way. Just go do what you know how to do, and I trust you guys.
And guess what? You lost one game, but it's a double elimination tournament, so that it's not even over. Bird over to foul ground, does not survive the netting. So 13 runs for Oklahoma State, matches a program record for an NCAA tournament game, with them trying to get to the World Series for a 6th straight season. And yes, so 5th most in an inning in NCAA tournament history. There's only one team at the end of the year that ends up happy. There are going to be a lot of tears for a lot of teams, but until that end comes, why not approach it with jubilance? Yeah,
I agree, and he mentioned that word in that interview, fun, and he said that to us when we talked to him before postseason started. And he talked about how, so many times we get so intense. Obviously, you have high level of expectation, reach the World Series, but man, what are we doing it for? And he just said, sometimes I got to remind myself, guys, we need to have fun doing this. Of course, it's fun when you win, but it's all about the process too. And I think what happens is there's a mindset that goes with that, right? Girls are hard on themselves, but if you can try to take off some of that pressure, it allows them to play more freely.
Why does anyone as a kid start playing sports? Because it's fun.
Yes, and he said, what did he say? He said, we want them to play like they're 8. That's exactly what that means. Play like you did when you just did it for fun.
And then do a multiplication table when you come into the dugout. Is that the right age? 8, 3rd grade, right?
Probably. And the other thing about
What's 12 times 12? Okay, sorry.
That I loved that he said was, like, the past is gone. Flush it. You absolutely have to start thinking ahead, and what does it take? Solution-oriented, right? You leave the past behind, you learn, and then you make adjustments and you go.
And this is about teaching life lessons, too. Into right field, base hit for Rachel Hathoot. She's 3 for 3. Because as an adult, once you get out into the real world, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have personal relationships that end in ways that you don't want to. And you can live with a lot of what ifs, but those are going to haunt you. You got to be able to flush things in life, not just in sports, to be able to move on.
Yeah, I agree. Just staying forward focused. When he said that to us, he said, we know Indiana, they can hit. So obviously big inning, last inning, 1, 2, 3 when they were on defense. But I think, he's saying, hey guys, we can never have too many runs. It's okay that we just scored 12 last inning. Let's do that again, and just keeping that idea of that, just always keeping pressure on the opponent.
Because eventually you are going to get into that game that does come down to the last pitch, come down to the last swing. And you want to be ready to have been there before. 13 runs, though, on 13 hits. Pretty good here on the top of the 4th, compared to 2 runs on 3 hits on Indiana's ledger. down the line, of foul ball. Well, we've been keeping track of the national seeds that have lost during the course of the weekend. Duke among those, Texas A&M another one. LSU was the first to lose yesterday. They lost against Southeastern Louisiana, and don't look now, but it is not going well for LSU. That game is a 5-4 Southeastern Louisiana lead. That's the same as this game. Teams that are 1-1, so an elimination game, and LSU in danger of being bounced from the NCAA tournament.
Wow, and that's just so hard when you're the host, you're playing at home, you're the seed, and then all of a sudden to have your backs against the wall, see if they are able to respond and pull it out somehow. But that's what's so great about this game. It does not matter who's expected to win on paper, what other people think. It just matters about who shows up at game time.
And in Durham, North Carolina, Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers took a 6-3 lead over Duke. And what did the Blue Devils do? Came back with a 5 spot of their own to take a 2-run lead. Then Coastal scored 1. That game is in the 6th. Duke is a host. They're up 8-7 in an elimination game. Hard hit by Schneidmiller. One hop over Minnick's head. And Hathoot comes into third base, standing up. Schneidmiller at second behind her.
Hathoot leads off with her own hit to right field, and then Schneidmiller double off the left field fence. And this is what you love if your offense just gets so hot and somehow can keep that going the rest of the regional. That is your goal as a coach.
So second double and as many at-bats for Schneidmiller. And Oklahoma State will expect to get one here. Bloodworth flies out to right, but it was a little bit too shallow. So well defended. Mitchell comes in, makes a good throw to Parker at home. Pinch runner, Tara Vandewater, freshman at second base.
And Tara Vandewater, a freshman. I actually know her a little bit. I've coached her with Team Israel. She's a player with just a lot of spunk and has been a role player here, done a lot of duties as a pinch runner for the Cowgirls.
She's from Winterset, Iowa. It's on my list to visit. It's the home to the Iowa Quilt Museum. And so mark your calendar. If you're not busy, going to Oklahoma City, June 4th to June 6th for the Iowa Quilt Festival Retreat. And tickets went on sale February 14th. So if you were otherwise occupied on Valentine's Day, which I could understand, you may have to go to the secondary market for the Iowa Quilt Festival. I call it the IQF.
That's a pretty,
I can't assume everybody knows that. Michaela Wark is pinch hitting for Megan Delgadillo. So more of a swing away type here for Wark. Runners at second and third to momentarily take the bat out of Delgadillo's hands. One away.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. We've seen Wark come in and do some damage as a pinch hitter, but then we know that if she gets on, he can just replace her and bring Delgadillo back in to run for Wark.
Wark with a deeper fly ball out to right field than Bloodworth before her. So they get the... So Hassler yet to be retired. A walk, a hit by pitch, the grand slam. 2 out, 14-2. Cowgirls. And they had their regional win streak snapped After yesterday's win was 16 in a row, Arizona with a loss had their regional win streak snapped. The beauty of the postseason is the chaos that lies right underneath the surface.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, both of these programs.
That's
throughout
years worth.
regionals. That's years and years being able to get to super regionals.
And it's the connective thread, too, between the teams that, you know, players who graduate, it's not like they just forget about their program. They're going, you're still locked in years later. You know, the players who graduated when they started that streak are still dialed in wherever they might be around the country or around the world, because they can get every pitch of the postseason on the ESPN app.
Well, I think that's what's so exciting is where the game is now, and just the fact that you can watch it in so many different ways and see your team play. And you're right, the alumni, I'll tell you what ends up happening. I'm pretty sure it's every single school, but the alumni texts start flying. Like, did you see this? What do you think? Why are they doing this? They're doing awesome. I mean, all the things.
That's off the elbow, so Hassler's to first base, hit by a pitch for the second time today. I've got to imagine for you too, you know, you're busy, you got 3 games today, you pick up your phone between innings and the notification number's probably like 72 of the group chat going off.
Yes, it's everybody's watching intently and of course cheering for your alma mater.
Rosie Davis, RBI single, solo home run. Oklahoma State did not score in the first, 1 in the second, 12 in the third, and 1 here in the fourth. Time tomorrow when the Razorbacks will need to win 1 and the Cowgirls will need to win 2.
Well, you know, Arkansas is watching what's happening. Coach Deifel, they knew that it was going to be a fight with Oklahoma State in this regional. Indiana, the way that they hit.
Well, coming into this regional too, this was one of the 16 sites. You look around and start to make comparisons and think, well, how does this compare to that? This is one with one of the lower combined winning percentages, which shows you, I think, the turbulence that these teams went through, whether it was their own challenges from their schedule, some self-induced challenges that let you know that this was not going to be an easy walk for anybody to get to tomorrow's games.
Yeah, I agree, and you just cannot take anything for granted. You've got to come out and you've got to be playing your best softball. That's what everything is built, so that you're on an upswing at the very end of the season. And if your bats go silent, then you got to make sure that your pitchers are able to keep the runs from coming across.
In fact, it was the second lowest combined winning percentage in a regional this year. Durham, hosted by Duke, a combined .665 winning percentage, and this was 0.02 of a point off from that, .667 here in Fayetteville, then the Clemson Regional and Austin right behind that. Wind has picked up here a little bit as the night has gone along, turned into a rather cool and comfortable evening in Fayetteville. Hard line drive goes right back through the origin point, and Avery Parker with a leadoff single. So she has done her part today, a sacrifice fly, and gets the leadoff hitter on for the second time in 4 innings. And they're going to pinch run for her too. Peyton Drummond taking over at first base. She gets the sliding mid on with the help of Allie Miklish. Played first at Wisconsin and then at Clemson, and now going into coaching.
When you get some of these young coaches that are so close to their own playing days, I think it's huge because they also are able to just give impact and advice to the current players.
There's out number 1 in the inning. And you get a great mentor like Shonda Stanton, who's in her 8th year at IU, but has been a coach for several decades. Allie Miklish from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. 4 years at UW, played her final year at Clemson. Last year was an assistant at Wisconsin Stevens Point. And last summer in Florida, she played with IU alum Grayson Radcliffe. And so Allie's dad, Bob, is a dentist. And Allie was questioning whether she wanted to go to dental school. So she had this conversation with a former Hoosier. And this is the way the world works, not just in coaching, but everywhere. It's about who you know. And so they made the connection. She got connected to Shonda Stanton. And now she finds herself here in the postseason, not as a player anymore, but as a coach. Getting to go to that Clemson program where they have built something very special very quickly. Under John Rittman there, the longtime former head coach at Stanford, who started building a team and a stadium before they actually took the field a couple years back.
Well, I'm going to tie it all together.
Yes.
Because last summer I coached the Vibe, and Allie came in halfway through the season, and I coached I coached Grayson as well. And then I played for Coach Rittman a long time ago in the Olympics, and we won gold.
That is the ultimate
I mean,
full circle.
Make it all
No one's
together.
topping that story. I'm sorry. That's too good.
There are connections everywhere in softball.
So what was it like coaching Allie?
Well, she's really fast. So it's really nice that she gets on and you just can send her. So perfect, honestly, to come to a program that Shonda Stanton runs, because it's a style thing as well when that is your strength. And that's what you were really, really good at, the aggressiveness and being able to take those extra bases and find a way to get on. And
Shonda says, I recruit athletes. I can coach you up, but you got to have the basic skills. And at second base there, Peyton Drummond, who's a freshman from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. She led the state of Indiana not only in hits, but also stolen bases in her senior season. 181 stolen bases, the second most in the history of Hoosier State High School softball. So she's playing a role this year, and eventually will work her way into that starting lineup.
Yeah, and when you get these athletes, it's not just about speed, but it's also knowing the game, anticipation, being able to read ball angle and get those good jumps, right? There's players who have speed that just aren't that savvy on the bases.
That's down the line, and that's a fair ball. It gets by Warsup and takes a bounce off the padding. So no doubt they get the run scoring with Drummond and her great speed coming around from second base. And that makes it 14-3. Oklahoma State as the Hoosiers get their first run since the first inning.
And right now they're stringing some hits together. Really nice piece of hitting by Strader right there, coming up and taking that ball to the fence. Warsup not able to stop that ball from getting to the fence.
Delgadillo retreating. That's over her head. This should get 2 in for Indiana. And it does. Josie Bird, Adeline Strader, back-to-back run-producing hits. And as Kenny Gajewski told us not all that long ago, the Hoosiers are never out of it.
Well, and that's why you like an inning where you score 12 runs at one time, because all of a sudden 3 runs are scored in a hurry. And ball at the chest high. Bird doing a nice job of keeping her hands up. First it looked like Delgadillo might have had a shot on that, but still the 2 RBIs that come across.
So 14-5, Crandall got the start here. Ruby Malin is warming up in the bullpen, but Kyra Aycock's going to take over in the circle with 1 away, bottom of the 4th. And Indiana aided by Ruby Malin and Riley Crandall. And with a hefty advantage for Oklahoma State, 14-5, Kyra Aycock comes in to try and settle down what has become a boisterous Indiana lineup here. Hadn't scored since the first when they played in 2, and now 3 here in the 4th with only 1 out.
Well, and this is postseason softball. She's only had 22 innings this season, but they look to her right now to come in and shut the door in this game that would put them into playing Arkansas tomorrow with 2 wins from advancing. And, you know, again, you want to build momentum, so the last thing you want to do is start losing that.
Certainly the hope here is for Aycock to throw an inning in 2/3 and lock this win down for the junior from Noonan, Georgia. She had a tremendous freshman year, threw 95 innings that season and was in a lot of high leverage moments. Ended up on the Big 12 all-freshman team. Then a year ago, 75 1/3 in 20 games. Paddled some arm issues, but they recruited her because she's a hard worker. In fact, Kenny Gajewski says she's a workaholic, one of those players who sometimes you have to tell, hey, let's just take a day off here. It's okay if we don't go to work every day. First and second. She doesn't find the zone there against Burko. And I don't know if there's been a more potent 9-hitter this weekend than Melina Wilkeson.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like how she's been swinging the bat. Big home run in the first game against the Cowgirls that she had.
So a reawakening of this offense that went down in order in the second and the third. Inning started with an Avery Parker single.
When you know a pitcher like Kyra Aycock has thrown all year long in bullpen sessions, probably against teams in inter-squad scrimmages, this is still a different feel getting out there. In postseason play, right, when you only have 22 innings the entire season. And so I'm sure it's a matter of making sure you just kind of keep your heart rate down, you stay focused, just from her reaction, trying to just make that right release point, the ball out of her hand.
So a 3-1 is off of Bloodworth's glove and into left field, and then off of Hadhoot. And the Hoosiers take advantage, trying to take the extra base. They get a run, but also sacrifice an out over at third. They'll take that, though, because it's about scoring at this point, trying to climb back into this and get it within, or get out of run rule territory. So down by 10. And I think there may be a challenge on the out call at third base from Indiana head coach Shonda Stanton. Because Hadhoot had the bobble in left field. And let's see what we get.
Ruling on the field is out at third base, and Indiana is challenging. The play is under review.
Okay. Well, the ball definitely beat her there, but there's a lot that can happen once the ball gets to the bag as the limbs start flying into the base.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. The runner is declared safe due to obstruction.
Okay.
That's Indiana's first challenge.
So we
So
felt
your initial instinct was spot on.
Yeah, and I think we thought because she was more on the front half of the bag, that potentially just being able to have that backside where she was trying to get her hands into. But I think, too, sometimes that's hard when you're receiving a ball from the outfield and you're on the inner half of the bag, right, with your body positioning. Wow. That's a big call for them to be able to ask for a review and then get that going your way.
And now things are really getting serious for Oklahoma State here, trying to close the door. 14-6 is their lead, and Ruby Malin will take over here.
In this regional yesterday, having a rough time, was pulled after a couple innings.
Chopper, first base. Tag is there on Copeland, and that is as well as you could play that for Carly Godwin. So Copeland coming up the line faces the conundrum that if she retreats, she's automatically out, so she has to keep moving up the first baseline, which in turn then takes away any chance to come down the line from third.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is stop at that point, but there's nowhere for you to go. And so that situation, she tries to jump out of the way. But a little surprised. Pitcher comes in, very first pitch.
Here is Taylor Minnick. And this has by no means been the ideal weekend pitching for Ruby Malin. And this is one of the best hitters in the country, hands down. Already 2 home runs this weekend. So she has to be pitched to carefully. RBL doubled her first time up. All Big 12 in the circle, all Big 10 at the plate. And this is to left field. Hadhoot retreating. She can't bring it in. And Taylor Minnick comes through big again. Her second RBI double of the game. This one produces 2 runs, and Indiana is within 6.
Well, that's just Taylor Minnick being Taylor Minnick. Her last at bat, the entire infield shifted to the right side. This time she takes an outside pitch over left field Hadhoot's head, and that ball off the fence. It looked like she almost grabbed that ball, not able to come up with it. But you gotta love that for that senior. I mean, really just allowing your team now to have more opportunity to get back in this game.
Proof that nobody in this regional has ever been out of it, because Oklahoma State in the third had the 5th highest scoring inning in NCAA Division I tournament history with 12 runs, and now Indiana has scored 6 runs in the 4th inning.
And Coach Kenny Gajewski said that to us. He said, we know that they're not out of it yet. This team can hit.
And Avery Parker did just that. She started off the inning with a single. So both teams have batted around a combined 22 runs, 23 hits. And that just caught Parker on the arm.
Yeah, and this has got to be hard seeing your ace continue to struggle, but I do think it's kind of important for Ruby Maitland to have this moment and to be able to find a way to make whatever adjustment is needed and to shut the door and get her team back in the dugout to hit.
Well, try and find some confidence too, because coming on in relief, it's not gone particularly well for her, and they're planning on winning this game, just like Indiana is, but you get to tomorrow to face Arkansas, and Maitland's gonna have to pitch in crucial moments against a very power-heavy lineup.
And you go back to that call at third base being safe, and that obstruction call that really also made a difference in this inning, because they would have been out of the inning by now.
The ruling on the field is foul ball. That is being challenged by Indiana for catcher's obstruction. Play is under review.
I need to see Shonda Stanton's report from her latest trip to the eye doctor. She must have the best eagle eye in college softball, because she is seeing things at a level that nobody else is seeing them right now.
Well, I think her senior, Kinsey Mitchell, alluded to the fact that her bat hit Schneidmiller's glove. And so I think she's actually listening to her, but she thought that she did, so she's kind of asking. I think she's really going off of Mitchell. but it looks like it's the correct call, and it's just a foul ball.
Yeah, this should be the quickest review in the history of the sport.
After review, the ruling on the field is upheld as a foul ball. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike. It's Indiana's second challenge.
So first and second, 1-1 to Mitchell. Let's trust in your players.
Yeah, I agree. For some reason, Mitchell felt like her bat had made contact.
1-2. One-two to Mitchell, and she doesn't offer at the pitch upstairs. That's strike 3 called. And Malin ends a successful ending for the Hoosiers.
Chance to win.
Could still very well be a 5-inning game with the way that Oklahoma State has swung the bats today. And to continue the metaphor, there's no better fire starter than Carly Godwin. Look out. Kenny Gajewski had to duck out of the way.
Well, and he's already standing so far back over there. Forget the lines and the coach's box. It does not matter. You can see he's well beyond. And even there, he's like, okay, at least here I have a little bit of time to react.
You know, if we had a telestrator, I'd just draw the coach's box all the way up.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you stand there.
A wise man who's probably had a lot closer encounters than that and is standing there based on experience. The harder she hits it, we'll just keep getting further and further down the line. That will be a good bit. Stand all the way against the fence.
It's dangerous, I'm telling you, on that side.
Two and two to the Oklahoma State first baseman. Oh, she chased that one. Beautiful from Barry.
Wow, and after the hard foul ball and just the bat of Godwin, you really like how she just spins this ball underneath the bat of Godwin. A lot of movement down in the zone. It's a nice placement on that pitch.
Game 5 of this regional, game 6 tomorrow at 3 Central. And it'll be Arkansas, the host, against one of these two teams. There's hat number 2 of the inning. And you can tell some teams are taking out their frustration in this matchup of teams that are 1-1. Ohio State did that in the Knoxville regional to earn a trip to the regional final against Tennessee. Kieran Kumar, the former head coach at Miami, Ohio, making the move to the Big Ten this year. The Buckeyes winners 11-1 over the Redhawks. Mercer with a 7-0 win over Florida Atlantic. Virginia Tech will take on Alabama tomorrow after an 11-1 win over Belmont. And Tia Warsup's punt helps avoid a 1-2-3 inning. So she's on for the 3rd time.
Well, the fact that Worsup has the ability to go to the fence with her swing, sometimes she stands in, other times she runs to the box, but then because of that, she can still lay down the bunt. Her speed, it really, defensively, it's so hard to play against a hitter like Tia Worsup.
She's at first for Hathoot, who smokes it to third. Burko with a diving stop, but the throw is just a little bit late. Her glance at second base cost her getting the out at first.
Yeah, I think she might have thought that was the only shot that she had, but I think it was wrong. I think if she gets up and immediately throws to first, she actually has a chance to get Hathoot. But like you mentioned, because she had spun all the way around, but you're right, it was the glance there first that I think took just enough time for Hathoot to beat it out.
And now Schneidmiller, and in a game that is sure to have the softball world talking. It's the top of the 7th inning in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Southeastern Louisiana has a 7-6 lead over the national seed and host LSU. So Hathoot today, 4 base hits. Lined to short, straighter. The 7th inning, Coastal Carolina on a throwing error scores their 8th run to send that game to extra innings in Durham. So if you think this game has been unusual with a 12-run 3rd inning for Oklahoma State, it's just one of many today.
Yeah, I just think you're seeing it across the board. And you know what that tells me is just the elevation of teams and expectations and what everybody's putting in, right? Like, people can have on paper who they think, you know, it's all those bracket breakers like you see in the other sports now is happening more and more in softball.
And it's testing your depth today.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't even think about trying to play 2 tomorrow. It's getting through this one. Nothing easy. Delgadillo, a couple of stutter steps. And Van Brandt is out number 1 here in the Indiana 5th. Well, it's not just the softball teams in their respective states that are keeping busy, but the Oklahoma City Thunder, not far from Stillwater. They're playing a game 7 tomorrow afternoon against the Denver Nuggets to see who goes on to the Western Conference Finals. And the Eastern Conference partying like it's the late 90s with the Knicks and the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals to decide who goes to the NBA Finals. And in the WNBA, just getting underway, its 29th season, the Indiana Fever are going to be the team that everybody's got their eyes on the most this year. And year number 2 for Caitlin Clark. Speaking of which, the other night, and days have become meaningless to me here during this week. It was a big bucket hit by Nikola Jokic of Denver against Oklahoma City, and the broadcast cut to one individual fan, a little bit shocked, had his hands up over his head. You know who it was? Oklahoma State wrestling coach David Taylor was in the building at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. I think he knows a couple folks to be able to sit courtside.
Well, it's just such a fun time of year. I mean, across the board, just so many different sports going on. And of course, for us in the softball world, this is our favorite time of the year, postseason softball. See who will be crowned a champion.
I want to know, at the end of each season, we usually end up with a nice T-shirt with a slogan on the back of it. I want to know what this year's is. I'm waiting. That swag arrival on the doorstep. Sliced into left field. That's a base hit. Madeline Strader's 2 for 3.
Madeline Strader been playing third base, started out at short, then has been at third, and then had to obviously move over when Cooper is out with an injury, but I just love her bat. She's hitting .407 coming into today's game, and ends up, right now she's 2 for 3. I mean, Just such a quality player on both sides of the field.
And Shonda Stanton, talking about the freshman straighter, said she's had such a good season because there has not been the burden of expectations on her shoulders that we didn't bring you here and tell you need to hit right away, you need to be a superstar for this team. No, we've got the seniors. We're ready to do that. And they ended up having 4 hitters hitting 400 or better, with her included. But when those seniors graduate, you're going to look into that next group of players, and she'll be among them.
Well, I expect her to be up in the lineup next year, right? Right now she's down in that 6th spot for them, and she brings that opportunity to come behind a couple of those power hitters. But it's those numbers that she's hitting, and right there just showing why she's had that success, and also really good on the base paths as well. Yeah,
3 of the top 4 spots in the lineup are going to be up for grabs with the way it's constructed right now, with Copeland, Minnick, and Mitchell all in their senior seasons. Shonda Stanton engaged with Michael Parker, the 3rd baseman, in a conversation. And they've used 2 challenges here. One on the obstruction call that wasn't at home, and then another, or a catcher's interference call that wasn't, and an obstruction call at 3rd base. So it's 1 and 2 on Josie Bird. Was fired up when she got the strikeout looking of Kinsey Mitchell to end the 4th inning. A little bit more subdued here for out number 2 in the 5th.
On the drop ball, that's what we talked about. We know that she has the ability to throw it where that ball just drops to the zone. It has not been breaking as much when she's been struggling, but right there really looks good. That looks like it's coming knee height and then just drops out of the zone. And what these Indiana hitters have done so well is they aren't chasing a lot. And so when you force a pitcher who might usually get hitters to swing at that pitch and ground out or miss it, they're making her bring it up.
Or try to get them to chase and they don't go for it. And when you're down as much as they were down 13-2 after 3, it could be very easy to just say, all right, we're going to go up, we're going to swing at stuff, and whatever happens, happens. But to stay consistent with their approach is what's enabled them to get this game back within reach.
Yeah, I agree. I think you cannot change your approach, but it's hard to do when the scoreboard is so lopsided, you know, and really it's a matter of truly coming up with that game plan and sticking with it. Coach Stanton telling Burko, just stay within yourself. Another freshman who stepped into the lineup, not been a consistent starter for them, but having to step into 3rd base.
In fact, she hadn't started since March, prior to yesterday. That's a big change that I think can't talk about enough. To lose your starting shortstop, a member of your starting 9, have to make that change here. Something you've done 50+ games throughout the course of the regular season, and then it's a curveball for the postseason. Cooper with a day-to-day injury. Edwards takes her time and turns it into out number 3. Just a 4-batter 5th inning for Ruby Malin.
Right? Knowing that you're resting and fresh, and whoever wins this game has to beat the Razorbacks twice.
Delgadillo pinballs it between Strader's legs. Well, she came out in her last scheduled at bat in the 4th inning, and Michaela Work delivered with a sacrifice fly. Delgadillo re-enters and is safely aboard on the E6.
Well, she hit that ball hard and it really just stayed down. Strader not able to come up with it after last inning, being able to end the inning with a beautiful catch. Snow coned the ball, but she stuck it.
Cowgirls by 6, and that's the third time that number 3, Amanda Hassler, has been hit by a pitch in this game. In a game of you don't see that often, just put that one on the list.
Well, she's frustrated. You see the look on her face. The crowd, hearing a bunch of boos down there by the crowd, and you know, that situation, obviously they're trying to just come in and take away your strength, but going in a little bit too far.
Kenny Gajewski will get a pinch runner over at first base, knowing the situation here, because if they score 2 in this inning, they put the pressure on Indiana to have to score, and Macy Graff pinch runs for Hassler at first base. So yes, you'd only limit the game by 1 inning, but every minute matters because the countdown is not to the end of this game, but it's until 3 Central tomorrow where Arkansas waits. And the scoring change has just come in for Delgadillo. It is changed from an E6 to a single. Amanda Hassler, 3 times she's been plunked today. Macy Graff pinch running, so you've got Delgadillo at second and Graff at first for the ever dangerous Rosie Davis. And with that scoring change, making another hit, Delgadillo comes around third, and she is in. Making sure to get the tag at home plate, second and third. So they now just add to what is another record for Oklahoma State, which is the most hits that they've had this season.
And this ball is hit down the left field line. Minnick in left comes in, and she just immediately throws this ball, not sure why the ball was cut off by Bird, who came all the way across from first base. You see Parker there actually thinking she's going to catch the ball. And that's usually the catcher's call, to call cut. But in that situation, it looks like Bird just made that decision and stopped that ball from going home.
One away, second and third. That's Godwin at the dish. Seven-run lead, one more comes across, and Indiana will have to score in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the grounder to short gets the job done. The advantage is back to 8. And now Shonda Stanton is going over to the third base umpire, Michael Parker, who gave a safe signal on that ball to short because of the advance from Rosie Davis from second to third. It looked like there might have been a deviation from the path there for Strader, the shortstop. This is going to bring the umpires in for a conversation as to whether there was interference there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think there was a little bit of contact that was made, and Strader ended up still fielding the ball and making the out.
That's an important run because it brings it back to the run rule threshold here at 16 to 8.
The ruling on the field is that there was no interference. The umpire crew has chosen to use an umpire challenge to look at it. Play is under review. After review, the ruling on the field is upheld. There was no interference.
I have to give credit where it's due, though. Even being out of challenges, Shonda Staten makes the umpires think about the plays and uses every corner of the rule book to find ways to help her team out.
Yeah, I agree with you, because you know any advantage you can get, anything you can try to change a call can make a difference from that run coming across.
There's a lot that goes into being a good head coach. It's player management, roster management, coaching your own coaches, and also making sure that the umpires see everything in a way that's in your favor. So we've got ourselves yet another pitching change here as Bree Copeland comes back into this game. She didn't start this game. It was Jasmine Reyes weekend. Came on in the third, faced 3 batters, walk, hit by pitch, RBI single. It's a very different game than when she was in last, 16-8. And it's Talon Edwards. One ball, one strike. Upstairs. Well, we're being told that a national seed has exited the NCAA tournament. And it is indeed the first one to lose. That was yesterday, LSU. 2 losses at the hands of another in-state team. Southeastern Louisiana eliminates LSU. Wow. Out to left field, and the top of the 6th is over. Indiana must score or their season comes to an end. Hold this 8-run advantage here in the bottom of the 6th inning. If Indiana scores, then the game goes to a 7th, and you're never out of it when Taylor Minnick is due up, and she is scheduled to hit 3rd here in this 6th. Number 9 hitter, Melina Wilkeson. First pitch, first out.
When it seems fitting that you have Bree Copeland, Taylor Minnick, 2 of the seniors really responsible for Indiana being the team that they are, 3 consecutive seasons in the postseason play. So right now it's up to these 2 to see if they can keep something alive.
Every team has its own story as they come into the postseason. Theirs was what you said about setting a new standard for this program. And what we've seen here from St. Louis, which was the first to fall, Indiana here on the verge of their season coming to an end, as this ball goes to second and is out number 2, is that there has never been a team here this weekend that has gone down quietly.
Yeah, I agree. They've come out and they've had a really good showing and fight, and it has not been a cakewalk for anyone. I think that first game with Arkansas against St. Louis, that's probably the main one, and really got to tip your hat to Peyton Burnham coming in as a freshman pitcher and throwing a no-hitter. But other than that, it's just been a real battle, and these teams have had good showings.
And it comes down to Taylor Minnick, the senior from Bloomington, Indiana, who originally committed to Tennessee and decided to stay home. She was on the Big Ten All-Freshman team in 2022, and now this year all Big Ten first team for the 2nd time. A season that, you know, when they update the wall in their softball facility, her name is going to be at the top of lists for a long time. .470 hitter this year, 6th best slugging percentage in the country, 7th in on base, and became the school's all-time leader in homers, in runs batted in doubles. One of 4 seniors this year, and elevates the standard for years to come for Indiana softball.
Yeah, and they're not even going to give her anything to hit. I think that's a lot of respect right there, because they know with one swing of the bat, she extends this game. So really a lot of respect right there to put her on first base.
She homered twice yesterday, took Malin deep. Today has a couple of RBI doubles. And instead they'll take their chances with a junior Avery Parker. Remember earlier this game, we saw her with glossy eyes because she took a foul tip off of her wrist behind the plate and hasn't made anybody think about it since then. Has just powered through.
I agree. She's so tough behind the plate. She's one of those hitters, 394 her average now, but came in hitting 400, and just so much credit to the way they prepare and the way these athletes 1 through 9 swing the bat at Indiana.
Malin and the Cowgirls a strike away. And that's it. Oklahoma State perseveres. They are on to the regional final tomorrow at 3 Central against the number 4 national seed, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Well, and it was a team win, a team effort for them to be able to come back. They get to the final for their 5th straight time. It takes everyone.